Hey guys, tonight we step out of our clean, quiet bedrooms and into a world of dust, smoke, and unfamiliar rules. The light is harsh, the smells are overwhelming, and your body is already sore. You're waking up in the cramped, uneven stone room of an ordinary Athenian home in the 5th century BCE. The floor is packed earth cold under your back. You slept on a rough blanket stuffed with straw. There is no mattress, no pillow, just the persistent creak of the wooden beam above your head and the scratching sound of a rat nearby. Your nose is already adjusting to the pungent mixture of body sweat, cooking ash, animal dung, and stale wine. You probably won't survive this, so before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is over there. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your body aches as you rise from the bedding. The morning light slices through a small hole in the wall. There's no glass, just an open space covered with fabric to keep the wind out. The fabric smells of mildew. You step carefully to avoid the chamber pot. It's already full. No one emptied it last night. The room you're in is small and shared. A single oil lamp sputters low on a clay shelf. There's no privacy, no separate bedrooms. Just this open space where everyone in the family sleeps, breathes, coughs, and snores. You duck under a hanging rack where dried herbs and meat strips sway lightly. A piece of fennel falls to the ground. You step on it. You open the rough wooden door and squint into the daylight. Outside, the path is uneven. Stones poke through the soil worn from years of sandals and bare feet. The air is heavy with moisture, though it hasn't rained in days. Dust clings to your skin almost immediately. Chickens peck at scraps near the doorway. A goat bleats nearby. A woman yells at a child to fetch water. You still haven't spoken. You don't need to. No one will greet you warmly this early. Everyone is too busy surviving. The first order of business is washing. There is no soap, just a basin of cold water and a piece of coarse linen. You dip your hands, splash your face, and shiver. The water is from yesterday's fetch. It's murky with a few stray hairs floating in it. You try not to think about it. Next, you grab a small bowl of grayish ash and scrub your arms. This is how most people exfoliate. The ash stings your skin. You rinse again, but you still feel the grit between your fingers. Once you're clean, you head back into the room. There's a clay pot of olive oil by the door. Not the extra virgin first press kind. This is thick, cloudy, and smells faintly of metal. You pour a bit into your palm and rub it across your arms and shoulders. This is your moisturizer, deodorant, and sunscreen. Olive oil is sacred here. It's currency. It's medicine. But it never really dries. You walk around for the next hour with a tacky sheen. Everything you touch gets a little greasier. You dress in a single piece of fabric. It's linen, if you're lucky, wool if you're not. It's itchy coarse and held together with a pin at one shoulder. You wrap a belt made of rope or leather. That's your outfit for the day. No underwear, no shoes unless you're leaving the house, and even then, maybe not. Sandals are expensive. Many go barefoot. The streets are not forgiving. You hear a loud thud from next door. Someone has dropped a jug of water. The shouting begins. A man's voice first, then a woman's. The wall is thin, more like dried clay than stone. You can hear every word. You stare at the empty food bowl by your feet. Your stomach is already grumbling, but it's not yet time to eat. Across the courtyard, a neighbor is trimming his beard with a bronze blade. There are no mirrors. He uses a polished dish of water and squints. The blade is dull. He nicks himself, swears softly, and dabs the cut with vinegar. It stings. That's the point. You glance toward the sky. The sun is nearly overhead already. Time is measured in shadow lengths. There are no clocks. Just your instinct and the sun's heat rising steadily. It's going to be a hot day again. In the distance, you hear the horns from the agora calling vendors to their stalls. The agora is where everything happens. It's a market, a meeting space, a courtroom, a mess. You'll have to go there soon. But first you check the small alcove by the entrance. There's a faded charm hanging there, a clay disc with a face scratched into it. It's supposed to protect the house from spirits. Nobody really believes in it anymore, but no one dares to throw it out. You pass by it carefully, brushing your fingers across it for luck. Historians still argue whether daily rituals like this one were rooted in religion or just habit. But everyone did them. You do too. Back outside, the street is getting louder. Children are running barefoot, chasing a hoop made of metal. One falls and scrapes his knee. No one helps. He gets up, keeps running. A dog limps past with a broken tail. No one feeds it. It survives on scraps, maybe rats. You look around and realize you haven't seen a tree in hours. Athens isn't lush. It's dusty, packed, and built for function, not beauty. Most plants you see are herbs in clay pots or weeds growing between stones. Above, there's laundry hanging from a rope stretched between two buildings. It sways slowly. The linens are gray, not white. Nothing is white anymore, not after washing it in ash water over and over. You spot your tunic from yesterday. It still smells like sweat and wine. You turn away. You make your way down the alley, avoiding puddles. Most are urine. Some are worse. You don't ask. A man ahead of you spits, rubs his beard, and keeps walking. You follow. At the end of the road is a fountain. It's just a stone spout fed by a hidden cistern. A woman is already there, filling a jug. She's humming. You wait. There's no line, just order based on forcefulness. You're not ready to push. Not yet. You look at the statue beside the fountain. It's missing its head. It might have been Apollo or a local hero. No one remembers. A boy climbs onto it, pretends to fly, then jumps off. His mother yells. He ignores her. As you turn to leave, the morning sun catches the edge of a bronze shield hanging on a wall. It belongs to a soldier who returned last week. He hasn't spoken much since. At night he shouts in his sleep. His wife sleeps in the courtyard now. It's quieter there. And so your first waking hour ends not with clarity, but with fatigue, grime, and the slow realization that life here never really gets easier. You're already sweating, your feet hurt, and you're not even at the agora yet. Welcome to ancient Greece. You leave the alley with your skin still slightly damp from the water at the fountain. The olive oil on your arms has attracted a fine layer of dust, making you sticky and grayish. A chicken darts across your path, its claws scraping the dry earth. You sidestep and keep walking, your rope belt loosening slightly as you move. You adjust it again too tight, and it chafes too loose, and your tunic slips awkwardly. You follow the growing murmur of voices to the public courtyard where morning routines unfold. A row of men are already gathered near a low wall, relieving themselves into a drainage ditch. You avert your eyes. Modesty isn't quite the same here, but you still can't shake the discomfort. A few others are standing around a stone table, each with a cloth in hand, cleaning their teeth with frayed twigs soaked in salt and vinegar. One man gags, spits into the dirt, and wipes his mouth with the back of his hand. Hygiene is effortful. Nothing comes easily here, not even cleanliness. You join the short line at the public washing slab. There is no private bath unless you are wealthy, and you are not. You wait your turn behind a man with scars across his back and a boy carrying a broken jar. The slab is smooth from years of use. You set down your bowl and splash cold water on your chest again. The shock of it tightens your muscles. You take another piece of linen, stiff and poorly rinsed, and rub yourself dry. It does little good. Next, you reach for a pouch of crushed herbs and ash. You rub it onto your scalp. It leaves a faint earthy smell. There is no shampoo. The oil, the ash, and the sweat all mix into a familiar, constant aroma. You recognize it on everyone else, too. You all smell like the same day. There's a man shaving nearby with a small bronze blade and no mirror. His hands are practiced. He runs the blade under his chin and down his throat. One wrong move, and he could bleed for hours. But this is just another morning. No one flinches. You step to the oil jar at the corner of the slab. It's communal, chipped, and dark with age. Inside is the oil everyone uses. You dip your fingers and apply another layer to your arms, legs, and neck. It's grainy. Someone must have spilled herbs into it. Maybe oregano. Maybe worse. You don't ask. A bee hovers near your face, drawn by the sweet rot of the oil. You wave it away. It returns. You wave again. Finally, it leaves. You sigh. The heat is building. You glance up to see a priest walking past. His robe is clean. His feet are bare. He does not look at you. He's heading to the temple steps to prepare offerings. A girl follows behind him with a basket of flowers. She trips, picks up the petals, and keeps moving. No one helps her. She isn't supposed to speak. You finish your routine and step back into the alley. Your feet are already dirty again. You pass a house with an open doorway. Inside, a woman is scrubbing a floor with a straw brush. She is humming, but not joyfully. It's the same melody everyone uses, short, simple, and repetitive. Her husband is seated on a stool, trimming his toenails with a knife. The smell of boiled onions drifts from their window. It's not unpleasant, just strong. You walk faster. You reach your home again and glance at the stone bench outside the door. A man is seated there, chewing on something. He nods once. You nod back. That's enough conversation for now. Inside, breakfast is ready, or what passes for breakfast. A small loaf of barley bread sits on a clay plate. It's hard, dense, and slightly sour. You tear off a piece and chew slowly. Your jaw hurts. This is not soft bread. This is survival food. Beside the bread is a small cup of watered wine. It's thin and sour. No one drinks wine pure. That would be considered uncivilized. You swirl it once and take a sip. It burns slightly going down. You do not savor it. A child across the room is gnawing on a dried fig. It's shriveled and blackened, but it's sweet enough to keep him quiet. A woman hands him a piece of cheese wrapped in leaves. He spits it out. It's gone sour. She shrugs and eats it herself. You finish your bread and wipe your fingers on a cloth that smells of vinegar. You don't remember when it was last washed. No one does. Your stomach still growls. One meal is never enough, but food is rationed. You remember what they say. Enough to stand, not enough to grow. Hunger is expected here. It's part of life. You step outside again. The sun has moved slightly. Your shadow is shorter now. It's time to head to the agora. But before you leave, you stop by the potter's stall nearby. His wheel is already turning. The squeak of it echoes down the alley. He nods at you without stopping. His fingers are covered in clay. He shapes a small jug fast and smooth. You watch. He looks tired. Everyone does. He offers you a cracked bowl from yesterday's work. You take it, nod, and hand him a pebble. That's the cost. No coin, just barter. He accepts. Neither of you speaks. You carry the bowl as you walk. It's still slightly damp. You feel the texture with your thumb, rough on one side, smooth on the other. It's imperfect, like everything here. A man passes you holding a dead fish by the tail. It drips. The smell hits you seconds later. You gag slightly. He doesn't notice. He's heading home for breakfast. That fish is a luxury. Most people eat it once a week, if that. You pass another stall, this one selling herbs, thyme, garlic, and something you don't recognize. The vendor is shouting prices. No one is listening. Everyone is already moving toward the agora. You follow. On the corner, an old woman is offering small cakes made from crushed lentils and honey. They are burned on one side and wet on the other. A fly lands on one. She brushes it away. You decline politely. She nods, unsurprised. Historians still argue whether ancient Athenians preferred these cakes sweet or savory, but most agree they weren't meant to taste good, just to fill space in the stomach. You pass a dog tied to a post. It growls, but doesn't bark. Its ribs show. Someone threw it a bone earlier. It's still chewing. A child throws a stone at a pigeon. He misses. The bird flies away. The child laughs. His mother scolds him. He throws another stone. You step aside to avoid a cart. It's pulled by a donkey, its hooves clacking on the stones. The driver grunts and yanks the reins. The cart is filled with jugs of oil and sacks of grain. You see one split open slightly. The grain spills like sand. No one stops to fix it. You keep walking, your feet now coated in dust sweat trickling down your back and your stomach quietly complaining. You're still hungry. You're always hungry. The city stirs around you loud, close, and unfiltered. The day is just beginning. The agora is not a single place. It is a shifting, breathing knot of humanity, part market, part assembly, part gossip mill. You arrive as the sound swells a churn of footsteps on stone pots, clanging, children crying, merchants shouting. Your ears adjust slowly, filtering voices from the background din. The smells are sharper here: salted meat, sour wine, wet wool, and something vaguely like sewage. Always the sewage. You move through the outer circle first. These are the cheaper stalls clustered under rough canvas or tied together reeds. A man crouches over a basket of onions. Another sells cracked bowls, his hands white with dust. A boy runs past you with a loaf of bread tucked under his tunic. Someone yells. No one chases him. You press on. Your stomach reminds you that barley bread is not enough. You stop at a cart where a middle-aged woman is grilling bits of offal on a slab of bronze. The smoke rises into your face. It's bitter and greasy. She sees your interest and spears a piece with a splintered stick. You trade a pebble for it. The meat is chewy. You don't ask what part of the animal it came from. It's food. That's enough. Across from her, a man is trying to sell oysters from a wooden tray. They glisten dully in the heat. You wonder how long they've been sitting there. A fly lands on one. He shoos it away. You keep walking. A shout cuts across the crowd. Two men are arguing near a fruit stall. One has a red face and a torn robe. The other is younger with a fresh black eye. You don't stop to watch. Fights happen often. No one calls for help unless blood flows. You duck behind a column to avoid a group of soldiers marching past. Their sandals slap in unison. Their faces are blank. You glance at the weapons strapped to their backs. Dull spears, battered shields, no polish. They are not parading. They are simply moving through. As you emerge from behind the column, a man nearly knocks you over with a basket of live chickens. The birds squawk, flapping wildly. One escapes. It runs under a table. The man curses and drops the basket. The other chickens scatter. A girl squeals as one brushes against her bare leg. You take a step back and let the chaos unfold. You pass a tent offering dried figs. They are wrinkled, blackened, and stuck together in clumps. You remember yesterday's fig, the one the child spat out. Still, they are better than nothing. The vendor offers a smile with missing teeth. You nod politely and move on. You approach a bench where men are sitting their heads close together, whispering with urgency. One of them gestures wildly, pounding his fist into his palm. The others nod. Politics, maybe. Or gossip. Could be both. In Athens, they often overlap. Behind them is a row of larger stalls, richer merchants, shaded and better stocked. You recognize the scent of cinnamon and resin. Exotic goods. Expensive goods. Out of reach. One stall has dyed fabric folded neatly, though it looks stiff and sun-faded. Another displays small figurines, gods, warriors, and animals. A third offers bronze tools, each one worn but functional. Nothing is decorative. Everything has a purpose. You stop at a corner where a man is selling bread. Not barley wheat. Softer, lighter, more expensive. The loaves are small and uneven. You stare too long. He notices and crosses his arms. You nod and move on. You pass a narrow alley leading off from the agora. Inside, a man relieves himself against a wall. He locks eyes with you unbothered. You look away and keep walking. The wall is stained. On your right, two men are playing a board game scratched into a flat rock. They move pebbles and mutter. One slaps the other's hand and accuses him of cheating. The other shrugs. You glance down. The game makes no sense. They play for hours sometimes without speaking. You reach the far end of the agora. Here the crowd thins slightly. You find a place to sit on a low step beneath a crooked fig tree. Its leaves are dusty. A few birds flit in the branches. One drops something white and wet near your foot. You sigh and shift sideways. From here, you can see the Stoa long-shaded porticos where philosophers gather. Some are already pacing robes, fluttering voices low but intense. You hear fragments of argument, the nature of virtue, the purpose of the soul, the shape of the earth. One man says the sun is a ball of iron. Another says it's fire. A third says it's a reflection on crystal. Historians still argue whether most citizens actually listened to these debates or just passed by uninterested. You are in the latter camp. You close your eyes for a moment just to rest. A bug lands on your arm. You swat it away. Another replaces it almost instantly. The breeze shifts and brings with it the scent of fish left too long in the sun. You open your eyes again. There is no peace here, only motion. Someone calls your name. You turn. It's a neighbor, older, missing 2 fingers, one eye cloudy with age. He asks if you've heard the news about the tax. You haven't. He says they're increasing it again, more grain, fewer exemptions. You nod as though surprised. You're not. He says the Archon made the decision last week. Maybe. Or maybe it was just a rumor. No one's quite sure. Still, you'll have to give up something else now. Perhaps wine. Perhaps sandals. Perhaps sleep. He limps away. You sit in silence. Nearby, a merchant is selling honey cakes shaped like birds. They are golden sticky and probably made with barley instead of flour. A child begs his mother for one. She slaps his hand. He sulks. She walks away. The cakes remain untouched. You hear the slap of a sandal behind you. A runner passes covered in sweat. He carries a small scroll tied to his arm. He's part of a relay messages between teams. He doesn't stop. You watch him vanish into the crowd. Time passes. The sun is higher now, nearly overhead. Your tunic sticks to your back. Your face is hot. The oil has not protected you from the sun. It has only helped the dust stick more firmly. Your stomach growls again. You consider returning to the woman with the offal skewer, but she's already packed up. Her fire is out. The slab is cooling. The flies remain. A man next to you is eating something wrapped in leaves. You can't tell what it is. He sees you watching tears off a piece and offers it. You accept. It tastes of onions and bitter herbs. It's cold, but it's food. You thank him. He nods once. Then he stands, brushes off his robe, and vanishes into the moving sea of people. You don't ask his name. It doesn't matter. The agora pulses. Noisy, foul, essential. This is where Athens breathes, sweats, buys, complains, and pretends. You stay for a moment longer, then push yourself to your feet. The dust clings again. Your sandals scrape the stone. The next part of your day is about to begin. You move away from the agora, though the sounds follow. The crowd stretches out like a river trickling into smaller streets and alleys. The dust is thicker here. It gathers in the creases of your robe and sticks in the corner of your eyes. A donkey brays ahead, its hooves clapping against uneven stone. You step aside just in time to avoid being clipped by a swinging basket tied to its side. It smells like onions and spoiled milk. You pass a woman squatting beside a large clay vessel. She pours wine into smaller jugs, each stained and chipped. Her hands are stained purple to the wrists. She doesn't look up. A man waits beside her, picking at a sore on his elbow. You keep walking. The road narrows. There is no curb. Water runs freely in a shallow ditch beside the path, wastewater from homes likely mixed with worse. The scent is strong. Your throat tightens. You breathe through your mouth. A boy squats by the ditch and splashes his face. He smiles up at you. His teeth are brown. Around the corner, a potter's shop spills onto the street. Dozens of clay jugs sit in the sun, their mouths tilted toward the light. A man crouches, scratching patterns into a new one with a bent piece of bronze. The design looks like waves, or snakes. You can't tell. He doesn't notice you. His hands are steady. Nearby, a younger boy kneads clay with his feet stomping in a shallow basin while flies hover over a piece of raw meat on a bench behind him. A merchant shouts. A cart has broken a wheel up ahead. People groan and step around it. The driver kneels in the dust, trying to wedge a stone under the axle. His robe is soaked through with sweat. You don't offer to help. No one does. He mutters to himself. As you pass, you hear snippets of conversations. One man curses the taxes. Another argues about the price of grain. A woman tells someone her cousin saw a god in a dream. No one laughs. They nod solemnly. Dreams matter here. The crowd thickens again near a small shrine, just a painted stone pillar with a garland of wilted flowers and a smear of blood at its base. Someone sacrificed a bird this morning. You see a few feathers still stuck to the rock. A beggar sits beside the shrine, his feet wrapped in rags, a cracked bowl in front of him. He hums tunelessly. You drop a pebble into his bowl. He doesn't look up. You follow the path downhill toward a square where sellers line the sides of the road. Most sit on mats or stools, goods spread out around them, woven baskets, hand-carved flutes, slabs of salt. One woman sells combs made from animal bone. Another has a single slab of pork wrapped in cloth already attracting flies. A man next to her is selling shoes, 3 pairs, all mismatched. One is missing a strap. You stop at a stall selling fish. The vendor waves a bundle of reeds to keep the flies away. The fish are small, dull-eyed, stiff. You point at one. He shrugs and tells you the price. You hesitate. It's not worth what little you have. You nod and step back. He doesn't look offended. He didn't expect a sale. A chorus of coughing draws your attention. A group of workers are resting beneath a tree, their shirts off skin streaked with sweat and dirt. One of them drinks from a shared jug and wipes his mouth with the back of his hand. He passes it on. Another blows his nose into the dust. They watch you with blank expressions. You look away. You try to find a bit of shade but fail. The sun is high now. The ground reflects heat. Your robe clings to your sides. You feel the sweat pooling at your waist. A fly lands on your cheek. You flick it away. It returns. A cart rumbles past, pulled by 2 oxen. The wheels throw up small stones. You shield your eyes. The driver shouts at someone ahead. The oxen ignore him. One drools. A man steps into the path and is nearly trampled. He curses loudly, then continues walking as though nothing happened. You reach the edge of a tannery. Its smell hits you like a slap. Rotting hides hang from wooden frames, dripping dark fluid into the dirt. A boy turns one with a stick. He doesn't wear shoes. His feet are black with grime. Two dogs linger nearby, watching the hides. Their ribs show through their fur. You hurry past. A stonecutter works nearby, striking his chisel with rhythmic taps. The sound echoes against the walls. His arms are roped with muscle. He doesn't pause. Sweat runs down his back in lines. The stone chips fly like dust. One hits your foot. You ignore it. A child runs past laughing naked except for a string around his waist. He holds a frog in one hand. Behind him a girl chases waving a reed. They vanish behind a building. A woman yells after them. You find yourself standing beneath a balcony. Above you, someone pours out a bucket of water or something like it. You jump back just in time. It splashes the road. The smell is foul. You hear laughter from above. You glance at the sun, still high. No relief yet. A group of men gather around a painted wall where someone has drawn a crude image in red pigment. It looks like a soldier with exaggerated parts. They laugh. One adds something with a bit of charcoal. The others clap. A man nearby shakes his head and mutters about disgrace. No one listens. You pass a narrow alley where someone is beating a rug. Dust rises in clouds. You cough. Your throat is raw. You move on. At a corner, an old man sells sprigs of herbs, thyme, rosemary, lavender. They're dry and brittle, tied with twine. You buy a small bundle. He grunts in approval. You press the herbs to your nose. The scent is faint, but comforting. Historians still argue whether these herbs were primarily used for medicine rituals or masking odor. Likely, it was all three. You don't care. It smells better than everything else. You reach a fountain square. The water is trickling slowly from a lion's mouth carved in stone. A woman fills a jar. You wait your turn and splash your face again. The cold shocks you. A boy splashes your leg. You glare. He shrugs and runs off. A man nearby sells wine from a barrel. You ask for a cup. He pours a thin, bitter portion into a clay vessel. You hand over a stone bead. He bites it to check, then nods. You drink slowly. The wine is warm. It makes your teeth ache. You find a spot beneath a leaning wall and sit. Your back aches. Your feet throb. The dust has coated your arms again. You sip the rest of the wine and close your eyes. The voices continue around you. So does the heat. You have survived another hour in the streets of ancient Athens. Barely. You rise from your spot under the leaning wall with joints stiff and knees crackling. The wine has settled uneasily in your stomach. It didn't help. It never really does. You stretch once glance toward the sun, still high and blazing, and make your way toward the workshop quarter. You know what comes next. Work. Sweat. Repeat. The air changes as you walk. The smells sharpen. Charcoal. Burned metal. Wet stone. You hear the sharp tapping of hammers, the scrape of wood, the low murmur of men focused on their tasks. There are no clean shirts here, no leisurely debates, just noise and smoke and movement. You pass a carpenter's shed first. A man is hunched over a slab of cypress wood carving notches for a beam. His fingers are swollen and wrapped in cloth. The knife in his hand looks dull. A pile of shavings lies at his feet, curling like thin strips of parchment. He doesn't look up. Next is a forge. You feel the heat before you see it. The fire glows behind a curtain of black soot and fabric. A boy turns the bellows. His face shines with sweat. His tunic is soaked. The blacksmith raises a glowing horseshoe with tongs and slams it against the anvil. Sparks fly. You flinch. He doesn't. The ground here is darker. Charcoal dust mixes with spilled oil and old blood. You step carefully. A stone rolls under your foot. You regain balance just in time. No one reacts. You move to the quarrymen working just outside the city edge. There's no wall, just a low boundary of rocks. They carry chunks of marble on wooden sleds, dragging them across logs. The sleds creak. The logs roll. The men grunt. You step aside. You try to help wrapping your hands around a rope, but your palms slip. The rope bites into your skin. You lose grip. The man behind you curses. Another grabs the rope and keeps moving. You step back. No one tells you to try again. You try elsewhere. A tanner is slicing dried skin. You offer to sweep. He nods. You grab a straw broom and push through the scraps and dust. The bristles catch on something soft, a piece of flesh. You gag, but you don't stop. The broom keeps moving. You sweep until the ground is mostly clear. Your arms ache. Your back burns. You look up. The tanner is gone. No one saw you. No one pays. You head to the water haulers. They're lined up at a well filling clay jugs and loading them onto wooden frames. One man gestures. You nod. You lift a jug. It's heavier than it looks. You stumble. He laughs. You steady it and follow him down the path. The jug leaks slightly. Your tunic darkens. He doesn't care. At a stone building, you unload the jug and tip it into a basin. The water splashes your feet. It's cold. You savor it. You're handed another jug. No words. You take it. This continues for what feels like hours. Your arms go numb. Your legs feel hollow. Your shoulders throb. The sun hasn't moved much. You drop the last jug beside the well. The man nods. You expect a coin or food. He tosses you a date. One. You chew it slowly. The pit scratches your teeth. You pocket the seed. Maybe someone will trade for it. Maybe not. You walk away. On the edge of the labor area, a group of boys are stacking bricks in the sun. Their skin is red and cracked. Their lips are white with salt. One collapses. The others keep stacking. A goat stands nearby tied to a post. It bleats. No one responds. You pause near a pottery kiln. The heat is unbearable. You back away instinctively. A man inside the kiln's shade uses a long paddle to turn a row of cups. One cracks. He mutters. The rest stay intact. The paddle looks warped. His beard is singed. You sit briefly on a step. A pebble presses into your thigh. You shift. It doesn't help. Behind you, two men are arguing over a stolen tool. One claims the chisel was his. The other says it broke and he replaced it. They don't shout. They mutter low and tight like steam escaping a lid. You leave before it boils over. You head to the olive press. A donkey circles a heavy millstone. A man guides it lazily. You ask to help. He gestures toward a pile of olives. You crush them with a stone, slowly pressing out the juice. Your hands turn dark. The pits cut your fingers. You keep going. When you're done, your arms are stained. Your wrists ache. The man offers a bit of oil on a crust of bread. It's warm, soggy, and sharp with vinegar. You eat it without chewing. It slides down. Historians still argue whether these mills ran all day or just in shifts, but judging by the donkey's tired gait, this one hasn't stopped in hours. You wipe your hands on your tunic. It doesn't help. You look around for shade. There is none. The workshops are open air. The roofs are low. The smoke from the forge still lingers, mixing with the stench of animal hide and burnt wood. You pass a man sharpening a blade. The sound of metal scraping stone is slow, deliberate, and endless. He doesn't look up. His eyes are red. You pass another tying rope. His fingers move fast. The cord is for a ship, maybe. Maybe not. You don't ask. You keep walking. The crowd thins slightly near the back wall of the quarter. Here, broken tools pile high. Shattered pots, split boards, a basket of rusted nails. It smells like decay. You find a seat on an overturned bucket. Your muscles twitch. Your robe clings to your body. Your breath is shallow. A dog lies nearby, belly rising and falling. Its leg twitches. It snores. You pick at a scab on your knee. It bleeds slightly. You let it. You watch a man try to carry a beam alone. He stumbles. Others don't help. He drops it. It cracks. He walks away. You wonder if he'll come back. You wonder if you'll ever leave this quarter. The sun begins its slow descent. But there's more to do. Always more. You stand. Slowly. Your feet feel heavy. The dust on your legs has turned to mud. You walk back into the heat. The forge bellows again. Work is not something you finish. It's just something you survive. You limp toward a quieter street, now hoping for rest. But what you find is another kind of burden. The narrow road winds through a residential block where most people live the same way. Tightly packed, modest homes, walls of dried mud, brick courtyards, exposed to the sky, and no real sense of privacy. The buildings lean slightly, as if exhausted by the sun and the years. Their doors creak. Their shutters are warped. You brush against a woman carrying a basket of laundry. She says nothing. Her eyes do not meet yours. Her arms are thin, her shoulders slumped. She steps into a doorway and vanishes. You pass a home where two men are arguing. One has a sandal in his hand, waving it like a weapon. The other is red-faced, shaking with fury. The words are sharp and fast. You don't understand all of them, but the tone is unmistakable. Debt. Maybe property. Maybe something older. A child peers through the curtain behind them. He doesn't flinch. This happens often. You keep walking. Farther ahead, a man with gray hair is seated outside his house, his feet stretched before him. One leg is swollen. He scratches it absently, then picks up a piece of bread and tears it with his teeth. A woman steps over his legs without a word. She carries a jug of water, balancing it on her hip. Her pace is slow but practiced. The street narrows again. Two boys wrestle in the dust. One cries out. The other lets go. They both laugh. Their tunics are ragged. Their knees are scraped. No one tells them to stop. There are no adults watching. You pass a slave chained to a post. He's young, maybe 16. His wrists are raw. A bowl sits near his feet. It's empty. His eyes are dull. You glance once and keep walking. Everyone does. You pass another man sweeping the front of his home. His broom is no more than bundled sticks. He pauses and wipes sweat from his forehead. His robe slips from one shoulder. He doesn't fix it. He keeps sweeping. A girl leads a goat down the street. She taps its flank with a reed. It bleats. She clicks her tongue. The animal obeys. You finally stop at a water basin beside a broken wall. You splash your hands. The water is warm, shallow, and faintly green. You don't care. You cup some in your palms and sip it slowly. It tastes of moss and stone. You sit on a ledge. Behind you, a curtain shifts in the wind. A woman's face appears briefly, then vanishes. You hear a spoon striking a bowl. You hear murmurs. Nothing clear. You rest for a moment. Then the shouting begins. A man is being dragged into the street. His robe is torn. His lip is bleeding. Two others shove him against the wall. He yells. They yell louder. One slaps him hard. The crack echoes. Someone opens a shutter, then closes it again. You don't move. Eventually, the man slumps to the ground. The others leave. He stays there breathing heavily. Blood trickles down his chin. No one approaches. You look away. You enter a courtyard half shaded where a woman is grinding grain. The stone is round, heavy, and groans with every turn. Her arms are strong. Her hair is tied back. She doesn't stop. A child clings to her leg. Another sleeps beside her, curled under a threadbare cloth. You nod once. She doesn't respond. A man steps out from a doorway, chewing. He spits something into the dirt and stretches. His belly is round. His hands are clean. He returns inside. You walk on. At the next house you hear music, soft flute tones, shaky but deliberate. A girl sits cross-legged, eyes closed, playing a simple melody. A woman watches from the doorway, arms folded. She says nothing. The girl plays on. You reach a home with two entrances. One leads to the men's quarters, the other the women's. You pause. From within you hear the dull rhythm of a loom, the sound of thread being pulled, the clack of the heddle bar, the weight of repetition. A woman hums. Another coughs. A baby cries briefly, then quiets. You do not enter. You are not welcome. In ancient Greece, women are kept apart. Even in their own homes, they are rarely seen. Their lives happen behind curtains and inside walls. Their voices stay low. Their movements limited. Historians still argue whether all Athenian women lived this way, or just those of certain classes. But here in this neighborhood, the rules are clear. Women work, serve, and disappear. You pass a windowless wall. Behind it, you hear laughter. Female. Then silence. You cross paths with a boy leading a blind man. The older man taps the ground with a stick. The boy watches the road. Together they walk in rhythm. You step aside to let them pass. The boy nods once. You reach a well. A line of women wait with jugs. No one speaks. A child drops a cup. It shatters. The mother slaps his arm. He begins to cry. She hushes him sharply. You step away. Farther down, a woman cleans fish. Her hands move fast, slicing, rinsing, gutting. Her fingers are pink to the knuckles. The smell is sharp. A cat watches nearby, tail twitching. She tosses a scrap. The cat catches it mid-air. She doesn't smile. A cart creaks past. It's piled with firewood. The man guiding it stumbles. A log falls. He curses. No one helps. You pass a school, just a shaded porch with boys seated in rows on the ground. A man paces with a stick in his hand. He shouts a question. One boy answers wrong. The stick lands across his back. He doesn't cry. He lowers his eyes. The others repeat the lesson louder. This is education. Rote, painful, unforgiving. You step away. A man nearby is repairing a sandal, stitching the leather with a bent needle. He mutters to himself. The sole is nearly worn through. He shrugs and keeps sewing. A woman calls out from a rooftop. She's hanging a cloth. It slips. She catches it. Dust falls like powder. You lean against a wall. The plaster crumbles beneath your fingers. You wipe your hands on your robe. You close your eyes. You hear coughing, laughter, a child singing, a door slamming, the distant clang of iron, a donkey braying. You open your eyes again. There is no pause here, no real rest, only smaller moments between burdens. You walk on. The road slopes slightly now, curving toward the outer edge of the city where the homes thin out and the air somehow worsens. You pass a butcher's stall where strips of meat hang on hooks, buzzing with flies. The meat is gray around the edges, drying in the heat. A dog sits nearby, tail still nose twitching. The butcher swats lazily at the flies with a rag. He doesn't clean the hooks. No one ever does. You hold your breath as you walk past, but the smell clings. Not just meat, offal blood, and whatever fluid pools under the cutting block. The stones are stained dark brown. You step over a puddle and keep moving. Further down, a man drags a dead pig across the street. Its legs bounce limply. He grunts with each tug. The rope digs into his shoulder. A trail of smeared blood follows behind. A girl leans from a doorway and watches without blinking. The streets narrow again. You pass a row of clay jars, most with lids, one without. A swarm of insects hovers around it. You don't look inside. Ahead, a woman pours dirty water from a pot onto the road. It flows past your feet. You step back just in time. The water leaves a streak of grease and ash. She disappears into the house without a word. The air here feels heavier. There's little wind. No trees. Just walls and doorways and trash left to rot. You glance down and notice a rat scurry between two stones. It stops, stares, then vanishes. A second follows. You look away. You reach a narrow alley flanked by steep walls. A man squats at one end, coughing hard into his hand. When he pulls it away, you see red. He wipes it on the wall. You pass quickly. The smell shifts again. Now it's stronger. Urine, rotting cabbage, something burnt. You press your sleeve to your face. You pass a public latrine. No walls, no seats, just a ditch lined with stone. A few men stand nearby, relieving themselves. One makes eye contact. You look away. The flies are thick here, so is the heat. Historians still argue whether sanitation in Athens was relatively advanced or barely functional. In this alley, there's little debate. The waste runs freely. You step carefully. Beyond the latrine, you find a dump site. It's not official. Just a pile of refuse, broken pottery, fish bones, empty baskets, torn cloth. A child picks through it, pulling out something that might be a doll. A stick with cloth tied to it. She smiles, then hides it under her robe. A man vomits near the edge of the pile. No one reacts. You keep walking. The walls here are cracked and patched with mud. Some houses have collapsed partially. No one has repaired them. A goat wanders through one, eating something out of a pile of ashes. You approach a low wall and look over. Below is a channel once part of the city's water system. Now it's dry, clogged with leaves, feathers, and trash. Someone has dumped a mattress into it. It's soaked and moldy. 2 cats sleep on it. You follow the wall until it turns sharply. You find yourself near a communal wash basin. A woman scrubs clothing with a rock. Her hands are red. She wrings out a tunic and lays it across a broken bench. It's stained. She hums softly. Another woman approaches with a bundle. They don't speak. You turn away. Your head aches. The smell is constant now. Inescapable. A mixture of body odor, spoiled food, and human waste. You pass a bakery. The bread smells better, burned crust, yeast smoke, but the relief is brief. A pile of ashes out back smolders. A man rakes it with a stick. Sparks rise and fall. You glance into the doorway. A boy kneads dough with both arms covered in flour and sweat. Another stokes the oven. The baker watches them, arms crossed. His tunic is cleaner than theirs. You walk on. You reach a small courtyard where laundry hangs across lines. The garments sway slightly in the heat. They're all the same color dust. You brush one by accident. It leaves a smear on your arm. A bucket tips over nearby. A woman curses. Water runs past your feet again. You're too tired to dodge. Farther on, a man dumps a pot into the street. The liquid steams slightly. You don't ask what it is. You reach a square where a well stands in the center. A dog drinks from the overflow. A boy washes his feet. An old man spits into the drain. A woman ladles water into a jug and slips on the stone. She falls. The jug shatters. Her arm scrapes open. She doesn't cry. She gathers the shards and walks away. You stand there a moment. A man nearby offers you a cloth. It smells like smoke. You accept it anyway. You wipe your face. The cloth leaves a film behind. You return it with a nod. He shrugs. Nearby, a fire burns in a pit. Someone is roasting meat. The smell is stronger now. Better. You edge closer. It's goat. You see the ribs turning on a spit. A boy turns the crank, slowly, his eyes unfocused. You ask for a piece. The man gestures. You hand over a small charm, a piece of bone carved into a spiral. He nods. You're handed a slice. It's dry but warm. You eat slowly. The dog approaches. You toss it the last scrap. It swallows it whole. You move on. A man walks past carrying a bucket of ashes. He tosses it against a wall. The wind shifts. You cough. He doesn't notice. You reach the edge of the city where the buildings end and the path opens slightly. A breeze moves through. It smells of grass finally. You take a deep breath. Then you smell smoke. Back toward the city, a chimney pours black air into the sky. The wind changes again. You turn your back to it. You find a bench stone worn cracked. You sit. Your legs stretch out. Your feet are black with dust. Your sandals are frayed. You feel the crust of salt on your neck. You close your eyes. Behind your eyelids, the images remain. Flies, rot, blood, stone, water that never feels clean, bread that never satisfies. You open your eyes again. The world looks the same. And still the city breathes. You rise from the stone bench slowly, knees aching from even that brief pause. The city doesn't wait for you. It never does. Your feet move automatically now back into the maze of narrow streets, angled walls, and worn thresholds. You pass a man brushing ashes from his doorstep with a bundle of reeds. He doesn't look up. You don't speak. A low murmur grows ahead. You follow the sound. At the corner, beneath a faded awning, people gather around a man with a long robe and a voice that carries. He is holding a bundle of herbs and shaking them over a seated boy. The boy's eyes are closed. His skin is pale. The man chants in low syllables, rhythmic and heavy. Someone in the crowd mutters the word healer. You edge closer. The man unrolls a cloth, small bones, bits of bark, and a leech writhing slowly. He selects the leech and presses it to the boy's leg. The boy flinches. A woman nearby crosses herself. Another spits into the dirt. The healer sprinkles something dry onto the boy's lips. The boy gags. The man nods. His work is done. You move on. Farther down, you spot another healer's stall. This one smaller, covered in jars. Muddy oils, yellow powders. A stack of folded bandages, stiff with use. The healer is younger. He leans back, chewing a root. You approach. He offers you a sample, a smear of something onto your forearm. It burns slightly. You pretend not to flinch. He says it helps with fever. You ask what's in it. He shrugs. Garlic, onion, vinegar, honey, maybe poppy, maybe ash. You nod. You don't buy it. A woman behind you groans. She holds her stomach. The healer motions her forward. You step aside. You hear the clink of metal nearby. A man sharpens blades at a stall beside the healer's. He dips them into water between strokes. The water is red. You're not sure if it's rust. Next to him, a man offers tiny jars of perfume, rose, myrrh, almond oil. You sniff one. It smells like melted wax and old leaves. He says it's good for headaches. You believe him. You don't buy that either. You turn into a courtyard. Here a priest prepares for a ritual. He pours wine into a bowl and mutters a prayer. A goat stands tied to a post. It kicks once, softly. The priest raises a blade. A boy looks away. The priest doesn't pause. The cut is fast. The goat drops. The blood fills the bowl. The air thickens. You step back. Someone lights incense. The smoke coils. You smell cinnamon, sage, and something burnt. The priest dips his fingers into the blood and marks the stones. People press closer. You press away. Historians still argue whether such sacrifices were public necessity, private tradition, or both. You don't care. The smell is strong enough to turn your stomach. You walk toward the edge of the courtyard. A man kneels by a small fire boiling something in a blackened pot. He stirs with a reed. You ask what it is. He says it helps with tooth pain. You see a fish spine floating on top. He pours a bit into a cup and drinks. He winces, then nods. You thank him and move on. The alley ahead is lined with scribes. Each sits with a tablet or scroll writing slowly, dipping their pens into ink made from soot and water. A man dictates nearby, speaking in legal phrases. The scribe doesn't look up. You pause beside a scroll maker. He's drying a length of papyrus in the sun. It curls at the edges. His fingers are stained black. He doesn't mind. Across from him, a boy sells reed pens. One breaks in his hand. He frowns. You keep walking. You pass a man with a bandaged head. He leans against a post. His eyes are glassy. His mouth is slack. A friend beside him pours wine into his mouth. Most of it spills. You pass another with a foot wound. The cloth is soaked through. He limps. No one offers a crutch. You pass a woman lying in a doorway. Her skin is blotched. Her hands shake. People walk around her. You do too. You reach a shaded patch near the wall. A man is telling fortunes. He drops bones onto a cloth and studies their pattern. He says the gods are uncertain. He always says that. You sit nearby. A girl with red eyes sneezes into her sleeve. She wipes her nose with her hand. Her mother adjusts her tunic and whispers something into her ear. The girl nods. A man sits beside you holding a tooth in his hand. It's bloody. He drops it into a bowl and spits. You nod to him. He doesn't respond. You close your eyes for a moment. The sounds continue, coughing, muttering, a woman singing to a child, a dog barking once. You open your eyes. A vendor walks past, shaking a basket. Dried roots and powders rattle inside. He calls out his wares, cures for sleep pain and lost memory. You don't answer. No one else does either. You stand. You follow the road toward another small fountain. The water here is clearer. You rinse your hands. You feel the sting where the leech ointment touched. You wipe it off. You spot a stone seat nearby and take it. The heat makes the surface almost unbearable. You sit anyway. A man limps past carrying a bundle wrapped in cloth. He drops it once. Something rolls out a skull. He kicks it back in and keeps walking. You watch the wind move through the dust. You count your breaths. Someone behind you sneezes. You don't turn around. A dog lies at the base of a pillar. It licks a wound on its leg. A fly lands. The dog twitches. The fly returns. A boy scrapes mud from his feet with a stick. His sandals are tied with string. One breaks. He sits down to fix it. You see a woman carrying a jar. It tips. The liquid spills. She steps over it. You see a man asleep on a bench, his mouth open, his chest rising slowly. You see a trail of blood leading into an alley. You look away. This is how health works here, not by recovery, but by endurance. You breathe slowly. The air hasn't changed. The sounds haven't softened. Still, the day drags on. You find yourself walking past the quietest corner yet, a place where windows are covered, doors sealed, and voices barely rise above a whisper. The women's quarters. Inside these homes, away from the central courtyards and louder streets, life happens in smaller, hidden circles. You pass a doorway veiled with cloth. Behind it, you hear the scrape of a spoon against a pot and the faint murmur of lullabies. A baby whimpers, then falls quiet again. The air is still here, thick with the smell of boiled grain and old herbs. You pause at a narrow opening in a wall, an accidental view into one of the homes. You see a woman seated at a loom. Her fingers move swiftly, threading wool through a wooden frame. Her back is straight. Her face is blank. She does not look up. A girl beside her hands her more yarn without a word. The loom clacks once, then again. The rhythm is slow and unchanging. In ancient Athens, women of citizen families were expected to remain indoors unseen by men outside their household. They ran the home, raised the children, and prepared the food, but always from behind the curtain. You pass another house with an open window. Inside, two women are kneading dough. Their sleeves are rolled to the elbow. Their fingers are white with flour. They speak softly, occasionally glancing toward the door. One laughs, then quickly covers her mouth. The other hushes her. You hear the click of sandals on stone behind you. You step aside as a man walks past carrying a sack of barley. He doesn't look toward the window. He doesn't speak to the women. They don't expect him to. Farther along a courtyard sits empty except for a woman washing clothes in a basin. She hums to herself, rhythm steady. A child stands beside her, holding a piece of wet cloth, unsure what to do with it. The woman nods once, and the child lays it carefully on the edge of the stone bench. You glance upward. A second-floor window opens slightly. A hand drops a basket tied with rope. A voice calls down. A girl below places something inside a small jug, maybe oil. The rope is pulled up again without a pause. This is how messages move here. Slowly, quietly. Always through someone else. You approach another home where several women are gathered in a shaded corner. One is combing another's hair with a wooden pick. Another holds a baby to her chest. A fourth is darning a sandal strap. Their voices are low, almost melodic. You can't hear the words, just the cadence. A boy runs past and startles them. They stop speaking until he's gone. Then the thread of conversation resumes unbroken. You pass a clay wall scratched with symbols, charms maybe, a drawing of an eye, a crescent moon, a bundle of reeds. Someone has pressed handprints into the wet clay long ago. They're still visible. Historians still argue whether these symbols were meant for luck protection or just decoration. You wonder how many were drawn by women. You reach a doorway where a woman is grinding barley on a stone slab. Her shoulders move rhythmically. Her hands are chalky. A girl beside her prepares lentils in a bowl. She adds water, slowly stirs with her fingers, then tastes it. She frowns. The woman adds a pinch of something. The girl tries again. She nods. You move past them. In a shaded alcove, a woman nurses a child. She stares at the wall, eyes unfocused. Her feet are bare. Her robe is stained near the hem. A jar sits beside her empty. She doesn't move when you pass. You step into another street. A group of women are hanging wet linens from a line stretched between windows. One sheet slips and drapes over a passerby. He curses. They apologize quietly. He keeps walking. They fix the sheet and continue. You catch a glimpse of a small shrine tucked into the corner of a courtyard. A statue of a goddess Artemis, perhaps. Or Hera. It's weathered. The nose is chipped. Someone has left a bowl of water and a sprig of thyme at its base. A woman lights a bit of incense and bows her head. She stays that way a while. A rooster crows somewhere above. You look up to see it pacing along a rooftop. A woman throws a crust of bread toward it from a window. It flutters down and pecks at the ground. You see another figure through a slit in a curtain. She is seated with her back to you, reading a scroll, slowly tracing each line with her finger. Literacy is rare among women, but not unknown. No one taught her. She learned by listening. You pass a small doorway where two girls are playing a clapping game. Their rhythm is fast. Their eyes stay locked. They laugh once, then stop suddenly when they see you. One runs inside. The other lowers her hands and steps aside. You continue walking. A man calls out from a nearby home asking for water. A woman answers from within. Her voice is calm. You hear the sound of a jug being filled. She emerges briefly, places it on the ground, and returns inside. You see another woman weaving at a standing loom. Her cloth is patterned with dark stripes. She moves with precision. Her feet press petals beneath the frame. Her face stays expressionless. You pause to watch. She doesn't notice. Or she pretends not to. The wind picks up. Dust swirls around the courtyard. A woman covers a basket with a cloth and brings it inside. Another pulls her child through the door by the wrist. The curtains sway gently. The street is nearly empty again. A cat walks along the top of a wall tail high. It leaps across to the next rooftop and vanishes behind a chimney. You pass another doorway. The sound of a lullaby spills out. Soft, slow, in a language older than the city itself. You pause once more. This world hidden within walls and woven between rituals continues even as the city roars beyond. The loom clacks again. A pot lid rattles. A child giggles, then gasps. You take one last look down the alley. Then you turn and walk back toward the noise. You follow the rising murmur of young voices. As you turn the corner, the schoolyard appears not a building, but a shaded portico of packed dirt, stone benches, and wooden stools. Boys sit in uneven rows, backs straight, heads tilted downward toward wax tablets. The teacher stands behind them, holding a long stick. He watches. He listens. He waits for a mistake. You move closer, careful not to step too loudly. No one greets you. No one looks up. The students recite in unison, droning through lines of Homer's Iliad, sing muse of the wrath of Achilles. Their voices are dry, cracked from the dust and the strain of repetition. A boy falters. His voice catches. The others continue without him. The stick lands on his back with a sharp thwack. He winces but does not cry out. The lesson does not pause. This is how learning works here. Through pain, through memory, through fear. You sit at the edge of the space near a broken column. You watch as the boys repeat another verse, then another. The teacher walks slowly among them. He pauses behind a taller boy and points to his tablet. The boy flinches and begins again, louder this time. Historians still argue whether education in Athens was designed to enlighten or discipline. But here under the open sky, it feels more like punishment. One boy is made to stand and recite from memory. He stares straight ahead, mouth trembling. He begins the lines. The others remain silent. A mistake comes halfway through. The stick lifts again, this time across his knuckles. He gasps. The teacher nods. The boy sits. The curriculum is simple reading, writing, reciting. No questions, no exploration. Only accuracy and posture. You watch them copy letters into soft wax with wooden styluses. Their fingers are stained with dirt and bits of wax. One boy presses too hard and splits his tablet. He looks up in panic. The teacher sees. Another strike. The boy bows his head. Across the yard, a second group recites arithmetic. They count pebbles, arrange them into patterns, subtract, divide, then re-add. The teacher corrects a mistake by grabbing the boy's ear and twisting. The boy nods silently. He repositions the pebbles. No one speaks unless spoken to. No one laughs. You look at their sandals, worn mismatched, often tied with scraps. Their robes are thin. Their knees are bruised. Their faces are serious. These are children being molded, not nurtured. A third group is listening to a passage about ethics. A different teacher, a thinner man with more lines on his face, asks what it means to be good. One boy says, obedience. Another says, courage. A third says, silence. The teacher smiles faintly, then tells them to repeat the definition of justice from memory. They do. Farther off, a man sharpens reed pens with a knife. The shavings fall into a pile beside him. He hums a flat melody. He's the supply keeper. You approach. He offers you a pen. You shake your head. He shrugs and returns to his task. A slave enters the space with a jug of water. He sets it down. None of the boys rise. The teacher pours a cup and drinks, then returns to pacing. A breeze lifts the dust. It swirls across the ground. One boy sneezes. The teacher doesn't react. You glance up. A bird circles overhead, cawing once, then vanishing behind a wall. The boys don't look. They're told not to. A few of them have ink smudges on their cheeks. One's elbow is bleeding slightly from a scrape. Another has a swollen lip. You don't ask how. You rise from the column and walk slowly through the edge of the yard. A few younger boys are seated away from the others, learning to write their names. One struggles to form a curve. The teacher presses his hand against the boy's fingers and forces the stroke. The tablet cracks. The teacher sighs. A bell rings, a small bronze triangle struck with a rod. Lessons pause. The boys exhale almost together. Lunch. Each boy unwraps a bundle bread olives, maybe a fig. One has only a piece of dried barley. He eats it slowly. They sit in silence. You lean against a wall. Across the street, another group of boys jogs past. They're headed toward the gymnasium. No books, just bare chests, short cloaks and sandals tied tightly. They shout to each other, but none smile. Their day is only halfway done. You return your gaze to the schoolyard. A boy offers half a fig to another. The teacher sees it and shakes his head. The boys lower their eyes. The fig is returned. Discipline, even in kindness. The lunch ends. The bell rings again. Lessons resume. You leave the yard quietly. You walk past a corner where old scrolls are kept stacked on a wooden shelf. Dust gathers on them. The ink is fading. Most are reused again and again. You run your finger along one. The parchment flakes slightly. You turn and head toward the next street. In the shadows of these buildings, knowledge isn't shared. It's drilled. And not everyone is invited. You remember the women behind the curtain, the slaves who serve water but never read, the children who learn pain before letters. And you begin to understand. This education is not for everyone. It is a gate, a wall, a mirror. And still the boys repeat, sing muse of the wrath of Achilles. You trail behind the boys, heading toward the gymnasium. Their voices fade into grunts and focused breaths as the road levels out, opening into a wide, dusty space framed by columns. There are no decorations, no banners. Just flat earth and hard stone benches along the perimeter. The gymnasium is not meant to entertain. It is meant to condition. You step onto the packed dirt and immediately feel the difference. The air is still heavier here. The scent of sweat, dust, oil, and old injuries hovers like a fog. A low whistle pierces the quiet, followed by the thud of sandals dropped against a wall. The boys begin to undress. There are no uniforms here, no protection. They strip to the skin, fold their garments, and place them on stone shelves or in crevices in the wall. A few carry small jars of olive oil and Strigel's curved metal scrapers for cleaning after exercise. Some wear amulets around their necks. Most carry nothing at all. You remove your tunic slowly. The air touches your skin with no kindness. The sun presses down like weight. You walk barefoot across the dust. A trainer claps twice. The sound echoes. The boys line up. You follow. He shouts a word, dromos, and they begin to run. You run too. The track is uneven. Your feet hit hard packed earth, then loose gravel. You stumble once, regain balance. The boy ahead of you kicks up dust into your eyes. You blink, but do not slow down. No one does. After 2 circuits, the trainer claps again. You stop. Your chest heaves. The boy beside you is coughing into his hand. Another wipes blood from a scraped elbow. No one sits. Next come the drills. You are paired with someone taller, broader. He frowns slightly when he sees you. The trainer gives a nod. Wrestling begins. There are no mats, no soft landings, just skin against dirt and bone against bone. He grabs your shoulder and yanks. You fall. He pins you. Your back hits the ground. A sharp rock presses into your spine. You push back. Twist, try to roll. He tightens his grip. You feel the pressure behind your ribs. The air leaves your lungs. You slap the ground. He releases you and stands. You stay on the ground a moment longer. The sun blinds you from above. Then the trainer calls the next drill. You rise. Now it's javelin. You're handed a long wooden spear, rough, unbalanced. The tip is worn. You grip it with both hands and mimic the older boys. You step, you throw. The spear wobbles arcs wide and lands short. The trainer says nothing. He looks elsewhere. Another boy throws. His javelin strikes the post. The sound draws brief applause. You try again. It's worse. Now discus. The disc is heavy, smooth, slightly chipped. You watch others first. They twist, step, and release. Some with grace. Some with panic. Your turn. You lift, spin, and let go. It skims, low skips once, then flops into the dust. The trainer frowns. You nod and step back. The next set is calisthenics squats, jumps, balance drills. The boys sweat freely now. Their backs shine. Their chests rise and fall in rhythm. You feel your muscles begin to cramp. Your feet throb. Your shoulders ache. You keep moving. At the far end, boys climb ropes, lift stones, and hold poses on one leg. Some succeed. Others fall. None complain. Pain is part of the lesson. The trainer claps again. Final set, sparring. This is where blood usually shows. You are given a padded glove linen wrapped over your knuckles and tied at the wrist. Your opponent is shorter, quicker. He circles. You raise your fists. He strikes first. Your lip splits. You taste iron. You swing wide. He ducks. Another blow. Your eye blurs. You swing again too late. The trainer calls time. You both step back, breathing hard. There are no winners, only bruises. You wipe your face. The linen is red. Now comes the cleaning. You walk to the edge of the gymnasium where a trough sits under the wall. Water trickles in from a pipe. It's not cold. It's not clean. But it's all there is. You scoop water over your arms, chest, face. You take the strigil and scrape oil and sweat from your skin. The mixture runs down in dark streaks. A boy beside you gags quietly as he scrapes mud from his thigh. Another pulls a thorn from his heel. Another washes a bleeding nose. You finish scraping. You dry with your tunic now dusty and stiff. You sit on the edge of the trough. A bee hovers nearby. You wave it away. Your heart slows. The boys around you murmur now. Soft conversations about tomorrow's events. Someone whispers about a race. Someone else curses a rival. No one talks about pain. Historians still argue whether the gymnasium was more about fitness or moral instruction. You're not sure it teaches either, but it breaks you open and then tells you to try again. You rise. You limp toward the column where your sandals wait. One is missing a strap. You tie it anyway. Your legs tremble slightly. The sun has begun to dip. Even the dust looks tired now. You pass the trainer. He nods once. You nod back. No words. You step into the fading light. You walk slowly now back through the uneven lanes and past walls streaked with the smudge of passing hands. Your knees are tender from sparring. Your eye still throbs from the blow. A light crust of blood has formed on your lip. You touch it once, then stop. The dust is thicker here, kicked up by sandals and carried on the wind. The sun has begun its slow descent, casting long shadows along the street. The color of the city changes. The walls turn gold, then gray. The air cools slightly, but not enough. You follow the smells. The feast is beginning. It's not a feast for you. Not yet. Not for most. You reach a square surrounded by pillars. Fires crackle in clay pits. Smoke spirals into the dusk. The scent of roasted meat drifts over everything. Goat lamb, possibly fish. Your stomach growls. You see women carrying baskets of figs and bundles of herbs. Men stir pots with long spoons. A child chases a chicken through the crowd. No one stops him. A priest stands at the center preparing the altar. He raises a cup of wine and pours it slowly onto the ground. He chants a line. Others repeat. The words mean little, but the tone is familiar formality, ritual duty. Someone offers you a small branch of laurel. You take it unsure why. You hold it loosely in your hand. A man passes carrying a sheep, its legs tied, its eyes wide. The animal bleats once. It is brought to the altar. Its throat is cut. The blood is caught in a shallow bowl. The body is placed on the fire. The smell intensifies. This is how it begins. Smoke billows. Ash rises. A flute plays a slow melody. Drums follow steady and dull. You feel them in your chest. People gather on woven mats. The meat cooks over open flames. A woman fans the fire with a piece of bark. Sparks drift into the air. You're handed a small piece of charred lamb on a splintered stick. You bite it. It's tough. The flavor is strong smoke salt and something bitter. Another man offers you a cup of wine. You drink. It's sour. It makes your eyes water. You drink again. Children chase each other between the fires. A dog licks the grease from a dropped bone. A woman sings softly to a sleeping child. A man recites part of a hymn in a cracked voice. Others join unevenly. You sit beside a group of workers. They eat slowly, eyes fixed on the fire. One picks his teeth with a twig. Another counts stones in his hand. No one speaks. A plate of roasted onions is passed around. You take one. It burns your fingers. You tear it apart and eat. Your tongue stings. You swallow anyway. You hear laughter from a group of younger men. One drinks too fast, chokes, spits. The others clap him on the back. He raises the cup again. Farther away, another fire is lit. Dancers begin slow at first, arms, raised feet, steady. Then faster. A circle forms. Dust rises. Someone claps a rhythm. A woman plays a frame drum, plays a frame. The sound is dry and constant. You do not dance. You watch. The food continues. Figs, flatbread, olives, a bowl of lentils, some of it spoiled, most of it edible. You pick at the bread. It's warm but hard. A man offers you a piece of fish. It's oily. You chew slowly. The smoke gathers now heavy in your hair and skin. You look around. A boy naps beside a post, one arm under his head. A girl eats with both hands, eyes half closed. A dog limps past, nose low to the ground. A man retches quietly behind a pillar. You sip more wine. Someone begins a story, a tale of Heracles and the boar. The speaker slurs the words. People still listen. Another story follows. Then another. You forget the ending of each before it's over. You eat another fig. It's overripe. It bursts in your mouth. You stand. You step away from the crowd into a quieter corner of the square. The firelight flickers on the walls. Shadows dance. You lean against the stone and close your eyes. You hear chewing laughter, murmurs, footsteps, the clink of jugs. Then silence. You open your eyes again. A man nearby is sleeping, upright, arms folded. His head tips forward. Another couple shares a bench. The woman rests her head on his shoulder. A child lies beside a basket, feet sticking out. You take a final drink. The wine is warmer now, thicker. You leave the cup. You walk through the remains of the feast, bones, scraps, spills, ashes. You pass a pile of grape skins trampled into the dirt. A boy slips on them, catches himself, and laughs. Then he is gone. You follow the edge of the firelight back toward the darker streets. The city is not asleep yet, but it will be. The streets are quieter now. You follow a winding path that leads away from the heat of the dying fires, past homes with shuttered windows and doors drawn tight. Your feet brush over discarded stems, fruit rinds, and damp cloth. The noise of the feast fades, replaced by crickets and the occasional bark of a dog. The city exhales. You move toward a road flanked by olive trees. Their trunks twisted, their leaves dull gray in the fading light. Ahead, the path begins to slope upward, winding gently toward the cliffs. You're not alone. Others walk here too, some silent, some muttering prayers, some holding small offerings. You fall into pace with them. The trail leads to Delphi. Not the full journey, just the local shrine, a smaller version of the famous sanctuary still believed to carry echoes of its power. You know the real Delphi lies days away across mountains and valleys. But even this place has weight. As you ascend, the sounds fall away. Sandals drag. Stones clatter. The cicadas grow louder. Someone ahead drops a cup. It rolls, then settles. No one picks it up. At the top, the land levels. The shrine stands under a canopy of stone-carved columns, a wooden roof, and smoke rising from a small brazier. The priestess has not arrived yet. People gather in silence. A few light candles. Others leave coins, herbs, or scraps of linen on the offering table. No one speaks. You walk slowly toward a flat rock etched with symbols. A woman kneels there, hands pressed together. Her eyes are closed. Her lips move, but no sound comes. You kneel beside her. The breeze brushes your face. The scent of ash pine and something sharp, possibly myrrh, lingers in the air. A low voice speaks from behind the curtain. The priestess has arrived. She emerges slowly, draped in fabric, dyed with natural brown and deep blue. Her face is lined. Her eyes are heavy-lidded. She carries a bowl filled with crushed laurel and what might be charcoal. She pours it into the brazier. Smoke rises. She does not shout. She does not chant. She speaks in measured tones, pausing between words, letting the silence stretch. She asks your name. You give it. She nods and closes her eyes. From behind her, another woman holds a tablet and stylus. She waits. The priestess inhales deeply, then speaks. Her voice is flat, her phrases vague. The path leads forward, though not all return. A shadow moves behind, not beside. The stone rolls twice before resting. She stops. You wait for more. There is no more. The woman with the tablet scribbles quickly. She offers the slate to you. You take it, read it once, then set it aside. This is the oracle's message. It could mean anything. Historians still argue whether the oracles at Delphi spoke in riddles by design or simply out of necessity, forced to stay neutral to serve power without directing it. But here you feel the weight of ambiguity settle over you like a second robe. You nod to the priestess. She nods back. Another man steps forward. The process repeats. You move away from the shrine. A boy sits nearby staring at the sky. His hand clutches a small wooden figure. He does not blink. His mouth is open. You pass him quietly. A woman weeps softly beside a tree. She clutches a piece of cloth. It's stained. No one comforts her. You descend the slope slowly. The city below flickers with firelight. Lanterns swing from doorways. Torches mark crossroads. You smell bread baking again, someone preparing for tomorrow. You reach the base of the hill and pass a man muttering to himself. He repeats the oracle's words over and over, changing the order each time. You step around him. You pass another shrine. Smaller, less cared for. The offering bowl is empty. The paint on the statue has faded to pale streaks. A cat sleeps beneath it. You return to the road. A merchant walks past, mumbling about the price of salt. A woman follows him, holding a sick child. The child coughs once, then sleeps. You walk past them. You feel the wind shift. It carries the scent of the hills, dry grass, rock dust, and crushed leaves. You walk past a small house with a woman seated outside. She shuffles cards, slowly flipping each one onto her lap. She does not look up. You keep moving. A man sits on the edge of a well, feet swinging. He sings softly to himself. The song has no words. You reach a crossroads marked by a tall stone stele. Names are etched into its face, travelers perhaps, or dedications. Most are faded. A bird calls once, then silence. You touch the stone. You don't know why. You move again. The air grows cooler. The stars begin to emerge. Somewhere behind you, the priestess speaks again. You don't turn around. You carry her words with you now. The stone rolls twice before resting, whatever that means. You walk downhill through the darkened streets. The last light of day fades behind the rooftops. The sky deepens to a muted purple, then charcoal. Small fires glow in doorways. The city has not gone quiet, only softer. The tone has shifted. The air cools against your skin, drying the last of the sweat from your arms and legs. You turn onto a wide road and follow the sound of voices. Laughter, rhythm words pitched high with drama. You approach the theater. It is not hidden, but it is not grand. A semicircle carved into a hillside with stone benches arranged in wide tiers sloping down toward a low wooden stage. There is no curtain, no backdrop, just a platform and the open sky. You take a seat near the back. The stone is cold, uneven. Your body is tired from the day. The bruises on your leg throb again. You shift, but there's no comfort. The play has already begun. Two men, both masked, move across the stage. One wears the tragic mouth turned downward. The other a wild expression. Their robes are long colored by candlelight and dust. The chorus stands behind them, 10 or 12 men in matching cloaks stepping together, voices rising and falling in measured rhythm. You do not understand the full story, but you recognize the emotion. One character speaks of fate, of curses passed from father to son, of blood debt and gods who do not forget. The other defies them, shouts to the heavens, rips his robe, the chorus chants his doom. You watch. The masks make it hard to know who is speaking. The voice behind the tragedy mask trembles. The one behind the smile laughs without joy. A woman enters the stage. Her mask is white, the mouth small and straight. She carries a bundle, a baby maybe, or a symbol of one. She speaks softly. The crowd leans forward. Then she screams. The men respond. The chorus begins a slow song stomping in time with each verse. The stone under your seat vibrates slightly. A man in the audience coughs. Another shifts and mutters to himself. Someone nearby chews loudly on a piece of fruit. You glance up. The stars are fully visible now. You return your gaze to the stage. Another mask appears. This one painted black. The actor wears a crown. A king, maybe. Or a god. His voice is deeper, slower. He announces the punishment. The other characters bow. The woman falls to her knees. The chorus surrounds her. They chant. A bell rings once. The actors freeze. Then the stage clears. The audience exhales. A few clap slowly. Others sit quietly. The next play begins. This one is different, louder, coarser. A comedy. The actors wear oversized masks with exaggerated features. One has a fake belly, another padded arms. They dance awkwardly. The crowd laughs. You do not. The jokes are sharp-pointed. Politicians are mocked. Neighbors are insulted. Even the gods are ridiculed. Someone shouts back from the audience. An actor responds in character without breaking the flow. The crowd roars. You shift again on the stone seat. The comedy ends with a dance. All actors in motion, stomping and spinning masks gleaming in the torchlight. Applause. Whistles. A few coins thrown toward the stage. You stand. Your knees creak. You walk behind the benches where others are already leaving. You follow them into the path that winds back toward the center of the city. The crowd disperses. Some talk quietly, others walk alone. You pass a man mimicking the actor's arms, flailing voice high. His friends laugh. He bows deeply, then straightens and stumbles. You walk on. You reach a well. A girl rinses a cloth in silence. Her hands move mechanically. You watch the ripples in the water. You look up at the sky. A cloud passes over the moon. The stars flicker faintly. The world is quieter now. You hear music in the distance. A flute, soft and slow. Someone practicing, perhaps. You follow the sound briefly. It leads to a courtyard where a boy sits cross-legged, eyes closed. He plays a simple melody, repeating the same phrase again and again. A woman stands in the doorway watching him. You do not enter. You turn back. You walk past a wall where someone has painted a line of poetry in charcoal. Even the gods forget the names of the loudest men. The rain earlier has smudged part of it. The words blur at the end. You pass a doorway where two people argue in low voices. Their silhouettes are sharp against the lantern behind them. One lifts a hand. The other steps back. You do not stop. You pass a sleeping dog. Its ears twitch. It does not wake. You pass a broken cart. One wheel is gone. The axle leans against the wall. You pass a man curled in a blanket. His feet are bare. His eyes are open. You reach the edge of the marketplace. It is empty now. The stalls are folded. The awnings removed. Crates sit stacked, some half-covered, others left open. You see a rat climb over one nose, twitching. You keep walking. You pass the well again. A boy leans over it, whispering into the shaft. He listens, then laughs softly. You leave him there. The voices from the theater still echo in your head. Fate. Loss. Laughter without joy. You rub your eyes. You're not sure if the play moved you or just wore you out. Either way, the night deepens. You walk beneath the last of the torchlit alleys, guided by instinct more than memory. The day's noise has dissolved into fragments, an argument here, a cough there, the faint slap of sandals on stone. Your path bends toward a wide arch. The moonlight pools across the open space beyond it, revealing a long row of benches wide enough for 10 men across, all facing a raised platform with a wooden barrier. This is not a place of trade, not a shrine, not a school. This is the theater of suffering, public, collective, respected. You sit. The benches are colder here. The wind passes more freely across the space. There is no canopy overhead, just stars and silence. The play has not yet begun, but the crowd assembles in silence. Most sit without speaking. A few cough. A few mumble prayers. One man removes his sandals and lines them up carefully beside him. A large man nearby closes his eyes. He does not sleep. Across from you, a boy clutches a stone figurine. His father adjusts his robe around both of them. They do not speak. A priest steps forward. He sprinkles ash at the corners of the stage lights, a flame in a bronze basin, then withdraws. No words are spoken. Then the players enter. No masks this time. Their faces are painted pale under the starlight. Their robes are dark. Their movements are slow. One speaks. I stood by the shore where my brother was broken. I saw the arrow. I saw the blood. I did not move. The voice is low, shaped for silence more than attention. Yet the crowd leans in. A second actor joins him. I left the fields. I burned the plow. The gods spoke. Or maybe they didn't. The two move in a circle opposite directions, their steps aligned. You feel your breath slowing. The chorus appears, heads covered, faces obscured. They chant. We dig, we fall, we rise again. What does a name matter to dust? You do not understand the full story, but the pattern is familiar. Guilt, war, betrayal, fire, silence. You glance around. The boy clutches the figurine tighter. The man beside him hasn't moved. An old woman behind you weeps softly. Her hands tremble. The stage continues. A man wails. Not loud. A sound like air pushed from a cracked jar. He collapses to the ground. The others gather. They do not comfort him. They question. They accuse. They circle. The flame in the bronze basin flickers once, then steadies. Historians still argue whether these tragedies taught morality or merely mirrored pain. You are beginning to understand that there may be no difference. On stage, a woman rises. She speaks. They told me to wait. They said he would return. They didn't say which pieces. The chorus repeats her lines slower as a dirge. A flute plays a single note long and unbroken. The actors freeze, then vanish behind the wall. No applause, no bow. The crowd remains seated. Some eyes are closed. Others stare into the dark. You stand gently. You leave the benches behind. The path downward curves slowly, the gravel crunching beneath your steps. The moonlight catches on the edge of the stones, casting long lines like scars. You pass a man vomiting into a basin. Another supports him. Neither speaks. You pass a woman sitting cross-legged, brushing her hair with a bone comb. She moves slowly. Her robe is torn near the shoulder. She does not cover it. You pass a child curled under a thin cloth. One foot sticks out black with dust. He stirs once, then is still. You pass a shrine tucked beneath an overhang. A candle flickers behind glass. The face of the god has been rubbed smooth. You stop. A dog lies across your path. You nudge it gently. It does not move. You step over it. You reach the end of the road and find yourself at the mouth of a dry fountain. The basin is cracked. The water is gone. A single cup sits on the edge upside down. You sit beside it. The sounds have nearly stopped. Just wind. A wooden chime swinging softly from a rooftop. Your ribs ache from earlier. Your legs are stiff. The dust coats your skin like a second layer. You reach into your robe and find a fig. You bite it. It is dry. The seeds crunch in your teeth. You chew slowly. You remember the woman's line. They didn't say which pieces. You let the last of the fig fall from your fingers. The stars flicker. Somewhere far off, someone sings one low note, holds it, then lets it drop. It does not rise again. You rise again, joints cracking like brittle clay. The fountain behind you stands silent. The cup remains untouched. You head toward the edge of the city now, where the road grows rough, wider, flatter, and built not for comfort, but for the passage of many feet moving in the same direction. The military grounds. You walk without a guide. The path becomes familiar through repetition. Deep grooves cut into the dirt from wheels long removed, scattered stones arranged into rows. The faint scent of smoke, sweat, and iron lingers even here. A low whistle echoes across the plain. You follow it. Ahead, torches mark a square of packed earth. Men move within its boundaries. Some stretch. Others swing wooden swords or jab at the air. No one laughs. No one speaks unless required. You step into the square. Someone tosses you a staff, a simple wooden rod polished by hundreds of hands before yours. You catch it clumsily. A man gestures. You join a group. Drills begin. You copy what they do. The first is stance. Legs apart, knees bent, back straight. The instructor walks past thumping shoulders with a stick. Yours receives a thump. You adjust. Next comes form. Strike forward. Pull back. Again. Again. The motion repeats until your arms shake. You drop the staff once. Pick it up. Receive a jab in the ribs for the mistake. You nod. No apology is expected. Then it's turns. Advance. Pivot. Deflect. You do not succeed, but you do not stop. Another whistle. Break. Water is passed lukewarm, slightly metallic. You drink deeply. Someone takes the jug before you're done. You don't complain. You return to the line. Now, shields. The shield is heavy, round, made of wood with a bronze rim. Your forearm slips through the strap. It digs into your flesh. You hold it high. Lower. Forward. Brace. The man beside you bumps you with his shoulder. You nearly fall. He doesn't look at you. He repeats the movement again. You mimic. Your legs are beginning to tremble. The instructor walks among the rows. He taps a helmet with his staff. The man wearing it blinks, then adjusts his stance. The tap is repeated elsewhere. You prepare for it. It does not come. Now formations. A horn sounds. The group shifts. A wall of shields forms around you. You press forward. The shield in front of you blocks your view. You march in rhythm, stepping over rocks, holes, uneven ridges in the earth. The line falters. Someone stumbles. You lurch. A shield cracks. The instructor shouts. The line breaks. Another attempt. You reform. You march again. This time no one falls. You press forward until your calves burn and your breath comes shallow. The horn sounds again. You stop. A whistle. Dismissal. You drop your shield gently, though every part of you wants to throw it down. You limp toward the corner where others rest. A fire smolders in a pit. A man sharpens a blade beside it. The sound of stone scraping iron is steady, slow, never-ending. You sit on the ground. Your tunic clings to your back. Your hair is wet. Your fingers twitch. A man offers you a strip of salted meat. You chew it slowly. It is tough. It draws blood from your gums. You eat it anyway. Another man ties a cloth around his foot. It's bleeding. No one helps. A young boy barely older than a child sits with his head between his knees. He doesn't speak. You lie back. The earth is warm beneath you. Above the stars are cold. The instructor passes. He does not stop. Someone strikes flint. A torch flares. The flame dances on the edge of the wind. The next drill begins. You do not join this time. You watch. They move like machines. Shield, advance, turn, strike, brace, fall. You close your eyes. Behind your lids you see the same motions. Shield, advance, turn. You open your eyes again. The fire has burned lower. One man stands, blood dripping from his palm. He grips his sword tighter. Another has a bandage across his eye. Another sleeps sitting up. Historians still argue whether Athenian soldiers were truly citizen volunteers or simply compelled bodies trained into obedience. Here it doesn't matter. You move or you are moved. You strike or you fall. You sit upright. The wind cuts across the square. Someone coughs. Another man sharpens another blade. You rise and walk toward the edge of the camp. You find a bucket of water. You splash your face. The water runs down your chest, cutting through the dust in uneven lines. A boy nearby asks you where you're from. You don't answer. He doesn't ask again. You leave the training grounds. Your feet drag. Your arms hang limp. Your shadow is long again. The city's lights flicker ahead. You've survived another drill, but barely. You walk with uneven steps back toward the city, each muscle dull with fatigue. The dust rises behind you with every footfall. The wind brushes against your skin, but it brings no coolness, only more dust, more memory of the day's wait. You reach a low wall and lean against it, letting your arms hang. The shield bruises are beginning to show dark patches beneath your skin, red and hot. In the distance, a group of men begins to gather. The sound of sandals on stone, the clink of metal, and the slow, unified murmur of readiness. They are forming up, not for training now, for war. You follow. The road out of the city is marked by two tall stones, simple, undecorated. Past them, the road widens again. You walk beside others in silence. There are no cheers, no banners. This is not ceremony. This is obligation. You glance at the men beside you. Their armor is dented. Their cloaks are faded. Their sandals are unevenly laced. One carries a spear whose tip is rusted. Another holds a shield patched with leather. A few slaves walk behind with bundles. They are not part of the line, but they are always near. A cart follows, pulled by two oxen. It holds water skins, grain sacks, and a few empty stretchers. No one speaks unless necessary. You march. The road turns to gravel, then to packed dirt. The fields on either side stretch flat into the horizon. Low shrubs, occasional olive trees. Dry soil marked with wheel tracks. The sun climbs. The heat returns. Sweat gathers along your spine. Your mouth goes dry. You pass a stream barely flowing. A man dips his hand in drinks, splashes his face. The rest wait. One man tries to fill his skin. It spills. He curses softly. The line resumes. You hear the word enemy passed forward. No names, just them. You tighten your grip on the spear. It wobbles in your hand. After an hour, the formation halts. You are instructed to dig, not with tools, with hands, with broken boards, with flat stones. You dig shallow trenches for sleeping, shallow ridges for protection. The soil is dry and packed. It clings to your fingers in clumps. Your fingernails tear slightly. You wipe your hands on your robe. It doesn't help. A man near you complains about his back. Another coughs repeatedly. The third says nothing. His eyes stay fixed on the horizon. You rest when allowed. You eat when allowed. Barley bread, vinegar, a slice of onion. Enough to continue, not enough to restore. The evening falls without ceremony. No tents, no fire, no songs. Just a line of bodies stretched along the edge of the field. You lie on your back. You hear movement in the dark. One man is crying. He covers his face with his arm. Another prays aloud, whispering the same line again and again. A third sharpens his knife with slow, rhythmic strokes. You try to sleep. You don't. You rise with the light. You are told to march. You march. The terrain changes rockier now. The shrubs grow sparser. You pass a patch of burned earth. Nothing grows there. The smell still lingers. The man beside you steps on a sharp stone and limps. He continues. You see vultures circling ahead. Someone mutters. No one stops. You round a hill and the valley opens below. The line halts. You are given instructions. Hold the line shield, left press forward. You do not nod. You simply obey. The enemy appears. Dust first, then spears, then faces. They look like you, tired, dirty, afraid. The horn sounds. You raise your shield. You walk forward. You do not run. The first clash is loud wood on wood, metal on metal, voice on voice. You shove. You brace. You step. You hear someone scream. You push again. You lose your footing. You fall. You crawl. You rise. You press again. A man stumbles beside you. He is struck in the side. He gasps and sits. No one helps. You swing your spear. It connects. You don't look where. The shield slams into your shoulder. You taste blood. You fall again. You lie still for a moment. Then you rise. The line bends, then reforms. You push again. Eventually the horn sounds again. It is over. For now. You stand in a daze. You cannot tell if you won. You see bodies, faces you recognize, some still, some not. You step over them. You drink water from a shared skin. It tastes like dust and blood. You sit beside a low stone and breathe. Your chest burns. Your foot throbs. You touch your side. It's wet. You don't look at your hand. You hear the horn again. You stand. The march resumes. You walk in silence. The line behind you is thinner now, the footsteps lighter, the voices fewer. No one counts anymore. No one checks for names. You march without formation, spread loosely across the dirt road, heads lowered. You feel your sides stiffen. The blood has dried, crusted against your tunic. The fabric sticks to your skin. You do not peel it back. You do not want to know what lies beneath. Ahead, the city reappears, low walls, smoke rising from cooking fires, shadows moving between buildings. The columns of temples blink through the dust, just visible. The smell of home, burnt bread, sweat, and stagnant water returns with every step closer. You are not greeted. There is no welcome. There are no banners or cheers. You pass the outer stones again. This time, no one marks your entry. A dog follows beside you briefly, then peels off toward the alleys. You reach the fountain. You wash your hands. The water stings your cuts. You rinse your face. Your reflection in the surface is blurry, unfamiliar. You walk through narrow streets. People step aside. Some look away. No one speaks. You turn a corner and find a small group gathered around a body. It is wrapped in cloth, already stiff. A woman kneels beside it, holding a bowl of oil. She dips her fingers, presses them to the forehead, then the heart, then the feet. She does not cry. You recognize the cloth. You saw it 2 nights ago, hanging to dry. You walk on. You reach the agora. It is half empty. A few vendors speak softly. Their voices lack urgency. One sells bread. Another offers figs. Another sells silence. You do not buy anything. You keep walking. At the edge of the square, you see 2 men building a pyre. Thin logs stacked neatly. Bundles of kindling tied with rope. One wipes sweat from his face with a dirty sleeve. The other lays down a piece of cloth, deep red, embroidered at the edge. It is for a funeral. You do not ask whose. You step aside. You pass a man carrying a jar of ash. His grip is firm, his jaw locked. He walks slowly. Behind him, a child follows barefoot, holding a single olive branch. The procession turns down a narrow path. You let them pass. You reach the place where the bodies are burned. It is not hidden. A flat, open space blackened by soot. A few pyres still smolder. One lies cold, its ashes swept into a pile. You approach quietly. A man lays a body on the wood. The cloth is thin. You see the shape of the ribs, the curve of the mouth, the hair stiff with dust. A priest lights the corner of the pile with a torch. The flame crawls slowly, then it catches. You step back. The smoke is thick, oily. It stings your eyes. No one speaks. The fire pops. A bone shifts. The cloth blackens and curls. The air fills with heat and the smell of burning flesh. Someone begins a chant, soft, monotone, unchanged by sorrow. You leave before the fire ends. You pass the potter's stall. A row of urns lines the shelf. One is chipped, another cracked. The potter doesn't look up. You pass a boy sweeping ash from a doorstep. His broom is short. He drags it behind him like a tail. You pass a shrine with a small offering of grapes. A fly crawls over them. You stop at a wall with names scratched into it. Some are crossed out, others added. You do not look for your name. You continue down a quiet path. You pass a man digging a hole, a small one. He wipes his brow, rests, then digs again. Beside him lies a bundle wrapped in cloth. It is no longer than a loaf of bread. No one watches. Historians still argue whether cremation was universal in Athens or only common among certain classes. Here the practice is plain. The dead are burned, the ashes buried, the names spoken once, then left behind. You reach your home. The door creaks open. Inside, someone has placed a bowl of water. You wash your hands again. You strip off your tunic and hang it near the fire. You sit. You breathe. The city has already moved on. You are not the same. You will not speak of what you saw. You will not be asked. You remain seated for a long time. The fire in the corner flickers, casting pale gold along the stone wall. Your robe hangs beside it, stiff with dried blood and sweat. You do not touch it. You do not move. Outside, the sounds of the city shift again. Not loud, not bright, just the low hum of ordinary evening. A broom against stone, the squeak of a shutter, a cough, a donkey braying distantly, the rustle of someone rearranging jars in a nearby home. You rise slowly. Your knees complain. You ignore them. You step outside and follow the path toward the temple quarter. You carry no offering, but your hands are empty in a way that feels required. The road is wide here, made of fitted stone slabs, worn smooth by years of steps. The torches are spaced evenly along its length, flickering in unison. Their smoke rises into the sky, joining the stars in a blur of motion. You pass others walking the same way. No one speaks. No one asks why you're here. You reach the steps of the temple. The marble glows faintly in the moonlight. Columns rise around you like ribs. You climb each step without thought. At the top, a small table waits beside the doorway. Its surface holds offerings, coins, flowers, burnt meat, pieces of bone, small figurines. Someone has left a ribbon. Someone else, a child's drawing on a scrap of clay. You place your hand on the table. You do not leave anything. Inside, the air is heavier. The scent of incense coats the walls, sweet, resinous, faintly sour. A priest walks past with a bowl of embers. He scatters a pinch of powder into it. A puff of smoke rises thick and fast, then vanishes. You do not look at the statue. You do not need to. You sit on the edge of the room where the stone bench curves along the wall. Your hands rest on your knees. Your breath is steady. Others sit beside you. Some whisper. Some sleep. One rocks slightly, his eyes closed. Another clutches a scroll to her chest. A priestess enters. She murmurs a prayer. The syllables fall into the air like dust. No one answers. You stay until your back begins to ache from the stillness. Then you rise and walk back down the steps. Outside, the torches have burned lower. The stars above are brighter. You turn down a side path leading to the lesser altars. You pass a statue of Hermes, 1 foot lifted, face chipped. A coin sits in his palm. A ring rests at his feet. The moss creeps up his leg. You pass another of Athena. Her spear is missing, her shield cracked. Someone has tied a strip of fabric around her waist. It flutters slightly in the breeze. You pass a stone worn smooth by hundreds of hands. You touch it briefly. You walk further. You reach a small enclosure with a low wall. Inside, a flame burns in a metal bowl set on stone. It is the hearth flame, one of many that remain lit for the city day and night. A woman sits beside it, feeding it twigs and dried leaves. Her face is calm. Her robe is singed near the hem. She glances at you once, then returns to the flame. You stand at the wall. You feel nothing. But you stay. The fire crackles. The wind stirs your robe. A child enters the space and kneels beside the woman. She hands him a piece of wood. He places it on the flame. It flares briefly. He smiles. You leave. You pass a group of men lighting candles at a row of small altars. They move silently, lighting each one, then bowing their heads. One murmurs the name of a lost brother. Another places a piece of bread on a flat stone. Another leaves a sandal. You walk past them. You hear footsteps behind you, then ahead of you. Everyone moves at their own pace in their own silence. You return to your street. You pass your neighbor sweeping ash from his threshold. He pauses to nod. You nod back. No words. You pass a dog curled beside a doorway. Its breathing is slow. Its ears twitch. You pass a jar tipped onto its side. Water drips from its mouth in a slow rhythm. You enter your home. The fire is lower now. You lie on the floor. You place your hand on your chest and listen. Your heart is quiet. Your breath is shallow. The gods have not spoken. You are still here. You wake before the sky lightens. The room around you is still dark, lit only by the last breath of the fire. The embers glow faintly, no longer giving heat. The air is cool still. You sit up. Your shoulders ache from the stone floor. Your hip is numb. You stretch your fingers slowly. They respond, stiff but willing. Outside, the city is not yet awake. A faint breeze carries in the dry scent of the courtyard ashes, grain dust, a hint of cold olive oil. You stand quietly and move to the door. The sky above is a deep blue-gray. No stars remain, just a single pale line of light far along the eastern edge. You step into the street. Your feet feel heavy. The soles of your sandals are cracked. Your robe still carries the stiffness of yesterday. You don't bother changing it. A rooster calls out. Distant, then another. You walk down the lane. You pass the potter's stall. No one there yet. The wheel sits still. A broken vase leans against the doorway. You pass the fountain. The water trickles softly. A boy arrives just after you, carrying a small jar. You step aside. He nods. You wash your face. The cold wakes your skin. You dry your hands on your robe. You continue walking. The agora is nearly empty. A few stalls are being set up. Cloths unrolled. Crates opened. A man sits rubbing his eyes, drinking from a clay cup. You pass the baker's corner. The smell of smoke and flour fills the air. The oven glows faintly. A woman pulls a tray from the coals, careful, slow. You smell bread. You pass the olive vendor. His stand is half full. He is wiping it with a cloth. You reach the gymnasium. A boy is sweeping the sand. You move on. You reach the workshop district. Fires not yet lit. Tools not yet used. Smoke only beginning to rise. You walk through it. You pass the temple. The priestess is already sweeping the steps. She does not look up. You walk to the edge of the city. You stop at the stone where you sat the day before. You look at the road. It stretches eastward wide and flat, the line of hills barely visible. You sit again. You breathe slowly. You watch the sun begin to rise. It does not rush. It does not call attention to itself. It simply arrives. And with it, the sounds of the city return. A boy shouting. A pot breaking. A dog barking. A woman calling a name. A gate creaking open. You stand. You walk back into the city. Your hands brush the walls as you pass them. You step around a puddle left by a tipped jug. You greet no one. You speak no words. You begin another day. You are lying still now. The images of ancient Greece drift slowly behind your eyes. Dust swirling in sunlit alleys. The sharp edge of a wooden shield against your arm. The hollow rattle of amphorae on a cart. The heat rising from the stone steps of the temple. You feel your limbs resting heavier than before. The sounds grow softer. The hands at the loom move more slowly, now rhythm losing urgency. The boy with the wax tablet lowers his stylus. The chorus fades into murmurs. A goat lies beside the fountain, breathing steady. The flame at the hearth dims to a low red pulse. A woman sweeps a courtyard without haste. Your heartbeat is even. The dust has settled. The olive trees are still. The wind has dropped. Even the gods are silent now. Let the city fall into sleep behind you. Quiet courtyards, forgotten chants, worn sandals leaning against a wall. Let the words of the oracle slip from memory. Let the fig trees stand untouched. Let the stars above Athens blink one last time, then disappear. You are no longer hungry. You are no longer tired. You are already gone from that place. Nothing presses on your shoulders. Nothing stirs your thoughts. There is only the slow breath, the long night, and the stillness you carry with you now. Let that be enough. Rest.